All right, so before the break, we went over the general form, right? So, and then we learned that if we want to get to standard form, which is more useful, we need to start with general form, okay? So now I would like you to compare the form, okay? The standard form, you can highlight this part, quadratic function in standard form. So the standard form needs to look like this. Okay, y equals to a and then bracket x minus p bracket square plus q, right? So it looks like that. So instead of a, b, c, we have the a, p, and q, okay? So when it's written like that, it is called a quadratic function, okay? Please write that down. In standard form. And then the a, p, q, just like the a, b, c, they are constants, okay? Constant real numbers. Okay, so they can also be decimal or fractions. Okay, so if you compare the form, okay, standard form, and compare with the question on the previous page, right? If you look at D, E, and F, each of the D, F, they all have the brackets, right? So in fact, the question D, F, they are in the standard form. Okay, I'll put the standard form underneath again. Okay, so you can compare. Okay, so I'll highlight that. So I want you to compare the APQ, okay, with question D now. So what do you think the A, P, and Q? Okay, let's write it beside it. I'll use the green, okay? A, P, Q for each one is. Okay, let's look at that. All right, so let's try, right? So Nathan, what do you think? What's the APQ for question D?
A is -1, P is -4, and Q is -3.
P is -4, Q is -3.
Yeah.
Okay. We need to look at the one that has bracket, right? Because APQ is the form that's in bracket. If you say -1, -4, -3, I think you are looking at the general form, okay? Let me highlight that, right? This one, the one in the red box is the general, okay? The one in the green box, which is the question.
Is P2 and Q1?
Okay, so you said P is 2, Q is 1. Does anyone have other answers?
Is P -2?
P -2 and everything else the same?
Yeah.
Okay, let me see. All right, so -1 and 1. Okay, so thanks for your answers. Okay, so let's check. Because the form, right, standard form, it needs to be A outside the bracket, right? So you can take a look here. Outside the bracket, you have negative. Negative means -1. So all these are correct. These are good. And then the Q, right? The Q is the easy one to find as well. Q is outside the bracket as well, right? So you can find A and Q outside the bracket. So outside the bracket, you see a +1. So that will be the Q, okay? So this one is the Q. Now the most trouble one is the P, okay? If you look at the form, it has to be minus P, right? However, in the question, you have a +2, right? So you have to think about minus one number. It will be the same as +2. So if I minus a -2, it will make it into x + 2. So we know P has to be -2. Okay, so that's a little tricky part. Okay, everything else should be fine. A and Q are easy to get. It's the P that's the most confusing one. Okay, so one way to remember is for the P, you need to reverse the sign, right? You see a +2, then P is -2. Okay, if you see a -2, then P is +2. Okay, so let's try one more time here. Okay, for question E now. Okay, so let's try one more time. So Eric, what do you think the APQ is?
A equals 3, P equals -3 and Q equals 6.
Q equals. Okay, Aaron, how about you? What do you think?
Shouldn't this, since you said like to change the sign whenever it's the PE, so shouldn't it be like,
Sorry, you got cut off. Can you say one more time?
oh, like shouldn't you get like +3 since you said to like change the sign whenever you get the value?
Yeah, okay, very good. So maybe sometimes the voice got cut off, so maybe you didn't catch me saying it. So for the P, okay, only the P you need to flip the sign, okay? So the middle one you see a -3, right? But then your P will be +3, okay? So only a P. And then the outside, it will just whatever you see is the A and Q, okay? A is the outside in front, Q is at the back, okay? In the middle, you need to flip it, okay? Because the standard form, it needs to be minus. So minus P. Here you have -3, so P is 3. Okay, make sense? Eric, does it make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So let's look at one more, okay? Question F. So Nathan, what's the APQ for F now?
I don't really know this one. I'm not really getting it.
Okay, let's go back to question E then, okay? Yeah, Nathan? Yeah, okay, so do you get the question E, the A and Q? Do you know how to get A and Q?
Not really.
Okay, so look at the form down here. Okay, Nathan, you can keep your mic on, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. So A is in front of the brackets, right? Do you see the red green circle one?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so if you look at the question, right, what's in front of the bracket? What number?
3.
Yes, so the
3.
3 is the A, got it?
Yeah.
Okay, and then now look at the form. After the bracket, you see a Q, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so whatever that's after the bracket, that's the Q. So what number do you see after the bracket?
6.
So that is Q. Make sense?
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so what's the only number left then?
P. So -3.
You see the middle part, you have a -3, right?
Yeah. And then don't you like flip it?
Yes, then you flip the sign, then that will be the value for P. Got it?
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the A and Q, whatever you see is the correct value, but then only for the middle one in the bracket, you need to flip it. Okay, so I would like to try question F now. Can you tell me what's APQ?
A is 2, Q is -5, and P is 4.
Yeah, P is 4, Q will be -5. Very good, okay? See, now you get it. So whenever you feel like some parts that you are kind of falling behind, okay, just ask the question right away, right? Because maybe I won't be catching you, right? Because I don't know, I cannot see your expression. Usually if I see your expression, I can tell if you get it or not. So that way you have to be more proactive and let me know, okay? Ask me the question. That way you don't hang on to the questions for the whole hour, okay? And then you will have trouble when you're doing homework too. And also think of it this way, right? When you ask a question, it also help other people to strengthen their memory about the knowledge too, right? Okay, so let's move on, okay? So what's the point of getting APQ? Later on we'll learn, okay? Probably not today, okay? Next week, we'll learn what's the point of getting APQ. Today, your job is to know how to go from general form to standard form, okay? And the next time we'll learn how to use the standard form to quickly draw the graph of a satellite, right? The curve shape. So I break it down into 3 steps here, okay? So change each of the following into standard form, okay? Using complete square. So these 3 steps together is called complete square, right? So step 1 is called factor A. Okay, A is the ABC I mentioned before, or APQ, okay, ABC, APQ, the same A. Step 2 is divide by 2. Okay, I'll explain what each one means, okay? Step 3 is called balance. Okay, can you raise your hand if you finish writing the notes down? Okay, thank you. All right, so now let's look at one question, okay? So the reason why they call it complete square, okay? If you look at the first question A, here you have a general form. Okay, let's write it down. First question will spend a bit more time, okay? This is general form. So we can tell the ABC then, okay? So let's write down the value for ABC. Okay, Colin, what's the value of ABC here?
A is 1, B is 4, and C is 0.
Yes, very good. Okay, so our first step is to factor the A out. Factor is like the GCF, okay? So here the 1 is the A, right? So I want to take out the 1. Factor out means you divide by whatever you take out, okay? When you divide by 1, nothing changes. So whatever left inside is still the same, okay? Because if I multiply back in, right? 1 times x squared, 1 times 4x is still the same thing, okay? Nothing changes. So this is your step 1, okay? First question, I'm gonna break it down into 1 by 1, okay? Later on, I'll show you how to do it more quickly. So this step is called factor A. Okay, you guys can write it down too. Next step is to divide by 2, okay? So I explained this part. I would like you to compare this red line, right? Red underline with the formula on the top, right? This is the formula that I mentioned before, right? When we do the general form, right? This one, remember question D, right? We talk about how to expand, right? Because right now we want to go back, going from general form and try to go back, right? To standard form. So we need to create a bracket, okay? So in order to have brackets, right? If you see the formula, the one in the red box, no brackets, right? But we need to have 3 terms to create the brackets, okay? So for example, like, let's go back to here. Okay, so compare the 2 red lines, right? A squared, right? On the top, you see an A squared. At the bottom, you can see it's x squared. So that's telling us the A is like the x. Make sense? Right? So let me write it on the top. So this is the x squared, right? Plus 2A, we know A is x, right? And B we don't know, right? Plus B squared. Okay, compare the red with the red, okay? The first term is x squared. The second term is 4x. But 4x, I need to break it apart into 2ab. A is already x, right? 2x times what? Let me highlight it, okay? This part, the middle one, should match the 4x. So what should the empty bracket equal? 2x times what can equal to 4x?
2.
2, yeah, very good. Okay, so we need a 2. So that's telling us the b has to be 2. So the last one has to be 2 squared. Okay, so the next step is to take the number. Okay, I'm copying the first part first. You take the middle number, right? Because the question has a 4, right? You take that number divided by 2. Okay, I'll use the green. Take the 4, divide by 2, and then add it at the back. So 2 squared. So this step is called the divided by 2. Okay. Divide the 4, right? 4 divided by 2, which is 2, and that gives you the 2, the number that you need to square. Okay, can you raise your hand if you get everything up to now? Because I don't want to go too fast, okay?
So do you take the b from general form and then divide it by 2 and then put it in the thingy up above the formula?
Yeah. So if the b, right, if in the middle, right, you see a 6, then at the back you will add a 3 square. Make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So right now here, because I see a 4 in the middle, right, the middle term. So 4 divided by 2 is a 2, so I will add a 2 square. Okay? So if you see an 8, you will put a 4 square. If you see a 10, you put a 5 square. Okay? So that's the divided by 2, the second step. Okay? And then now, because the 2 square, the green part, okay, the green number that I added in, right, 2 square, that thing is extra, right? The question doesn't have it. So I need to do our step 3, which is called balance, right? You need to cancel that out because you added something extra, you need to subtract it back, okay, to make sure you don't change the question. So your next step will be still the same thing, okay? Plus 2x squared. Okay, take your time to write it out. And then you balance, okay? Balance, I'll use the red now. So minus 2 squared. Okay? And not only that you minus the 2 squared because of the green part, remember the 1 at the outside. Right? This 1 that you take out at the first step, it's also gonna affect the inside as well. So when you balance, you need to also times 2 squared with the 1. Okay, so that way it cancels out the thing on the green, right? Because the green, when you expand it, the green part will also multiply with the 1. Okay, so if the outside is a 3, right? If in the front has a 3, then you need to minus 2 squared times a 3. Okay, can you raise your hand if you get this part? This step is called balance. Okay, usually, like when you are doing the question, you write the 3 steps all in one line. Okay, instead of breaking down one by one. Okay, because this is part of your notes. So that's why I'm writing out in 3 steps. But in fact, you do these 3 things in one line. Okay. So right now, this part is still the same as the question. If you look at the third line, right? The green part will cancel out with the red. So it still look the same as no question. Nothing changes. We just added an extra green, right? To make it complete. Complete means you have 3 terms now, right? Look at the formula, right? You have a squared. Okay, I'll highlight that, right? A squared plus 2ab plus b squared, right? That's the 3 terms. And we have that in our bracket too, right? Look at the bracket at the bottom, right? A squared plus 2ab plus b squared. It looks like the 3 terms now. So by looking at that, we know the A, right? A is X. And what is B? Brennan?
It's 2.
Yeah, B will be 2, right? You just look at the thing under the square. A is X, B is 2. And then because it's completed, then we can put that back into the brackets now, okay? So our final step will look like this. 1 will be at the front. A is X, B is 2, bracket square, okay? And then the red part, you can simplify, right? 2 squared times 1 is a 4, right? 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 1 is still 4, so minus 4. So this is our standard form, okay? So this is our final answer. Oops. Okay, it may seem a lot of work here, right? Because we spend a lot of time talking about one by one, okay? But I'll show you how to do this in one setting line, okay? Any questions so far? Okay, can you raise your hand again if you understand everything up to here? Colin, any questions? Yeah, okay.
No.
No, okay, good. So now I want to try a question, okay? Don't worry about, let's try, let me add a page here, okay? And then I'm gonna try a question or work through that again, okay? And I'll show you how to do this in one line. Okay, so insert a new page. Okay, let's try. Okay, so here I'm gonna, so you can find a scrap piece of paper, okay? Just any scrap piece of paper. And then when you're ready, can you raise your hand again? Okay, so you have some paper to write on. Okay, raise your hand if you got a paper, okay? Just any scrap paper, okay. So let's say we have y equals to, or just do something similar, okay? X squared plus 20x, okay? Just this one first, okay? Now to do in one line, okay? First step is factor A, right? Compare with the left side. Factor A, you take 1 out, right? When you take 1 out, nothing changes. So instead of closing the bracket, I want to leave it open, right? We finished factor A. Next 2 is called divide by 2, okay? So what should we do next? Aaron?
Divide 20 by 2.
Yeah, and what's that number equals?
10.
10, very good, okay? So your next step is to write plus 10 squared right away, okay, in one line, and then close the bracket. Okay, so that's called the divide by 2, okay? Step 1 is here. This is step 1. This is step 2, okay? And then step 3, what is step 3 now, Nathan? Nathan, are you there?
You have to balance it.
Yeah, and what's the part that we need to balance? Nathan, still you. What's
You have to balance the 10 squared.
So what should we do? Add or subtract?
Subtract 10 squared.
Just 10 squared?
And then the 1.
Yes, very good. Okay, so you can see that the 3 steps are done in one line. Okay, so this is what you need to do for homework. Okay, factor A, divide by 2, balance, all in one breath. Okay, once you get this line, the next step is to just write out the form. Okay, so 1, because it's complete now, right? So the A and B, you can put it into the bracket. Okay, so what goes inside, Eric?
X plus
Plus what?
let me think.
Okay.
Ten.
Yeah, very good. Okay. The a is the first term, right? A squared. The b squared is the last term, the third one, right? So you can tell that's a is the x, b is the 10. Okay, so you put x plus 10 and then square. And then on the outside, you have 10 squared. That's 100, right? So minus 100. Okay, so you can see that now this is in the APQ form, right? The standard form. Okay, any questions so far? Okay, so let's go back to here. So for the question that we just finished, okay, question A, what's the value of APQ? Nathan, can you try?
A should be 1.
Mm-hmm.
P is -2, and
Very
Q
good.
-4.
Yeah, Q will be -4. Yeah, okay, only the P you need to flip. Okay, so that's the, if you understand everything here, right, so far, the rest is just little twist, okay? You got through the hard part now, okay? So starting from question B, you just follow the same steps, okay? But then here is a little bit different, right? You have an extra 19 at the back. So what I would like you to do is pretend it's not there. You can get an eraser, right? Not erase it, just cover it, okay? So pretend it's not there for now, okay? And then I would like you to try to do this in one line first, okay? So you complete the square, do the factor A, divide by 2, balance, okay? Just do the first line. Do not turn it into brackets yet, okay? Just write out the first line. 3 steps in one line, okay? When you finish that, you can raise your hand and it will check that. Pretend the 19 is not there for now, okay? I'll tell you what to do with 19. So raise your hand if you finish the first line. Factor A. Okay, Eric, any questions?
I forgot to raise my hand.
Okay. Okay, let's have Sarah. Can you tell me what to write after this? X squared plus 6x and then what?
Plus 3 squared.
Yeah, and then?
Minus 3 squared divided by 1.
Yeah, multiplied by 1. Okay, so everyone got the same here, okay? Everyone should have the same. Yeah, factor A at the front, divide by 2 here, balance at the back. Now let's take away the eraser, right? The thing that I covered, there's a 19. So the 19, you just put that at the back. That's all you do. So the balance part will combine with the 19 as well, okay? Because we pretend it's not there, but we cannot just forget about it, right? So once we finish the 3-step complete square, we put the 19 in the back. And then after that is the same, okay? We just make it complete. A is x, b is a 3, right? X plus 3 squared. And then we just simplify the whole thing at the back, okay? So here we have 3 squared times 1, but it's a minus 9, right? Minus 9 plus 19. So Colin, what do you get? The green part.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you get at
The green part?
Yeah.
I got plus 10.
Plus 10, very good. Okay, so plus 10. So there is our standard form. Okay, so same thing, please write out the APQ. Okay, so you can see that every question you just need 2 lines. Okay, then you finished. So A is 1, I'll do that for you. Okay, and PQ, you sure? What's the P and Q?
-3 and 10.
Yep, perfect. Okay. Okay, so how is question C different from B now? Okay, or different from B and A? Aaron, how is question C different from the other ones?
The A value is a 2.
Yeah, okay, so it doesn't matter if A is 2 or 1, it's still factor out, okay? So let's try this one together. We'll do the first step and then the rest you can continue. So A is a 2, right? Step 1 is factor A. So take 2 out. Okay, so what is left inside then? Eric, what's left inside now?
X squared plus 4x.
Yes, very good. Okay, so now when you do divide by 2, remember you need to look at the 4. Okay, don't look at the 8. You have to look at the 1 after you factor. Okay, so when you do the balance, you should be adding 2 squared, right? Because the middle term is a 4. Okay, do not add 4 squared. Okay, should be 2 squared. So when I balance, how do I balance then? Eric?
Plus 2 squared times 2.
Balance, you need to do minus.
Yeah, I meant minus.
Okay, okay, good. So minus 2 squared and then times the 2. The 2 is because the front, okay? Front, you have a 2, okay? And then finally, we just put it into the standard form, okay? So when you finish standard form, you can raise your hand. Also write out the APQ, okay? A equal, P equal, Q equal. Okay, any questions, Aaron and Brendan?
No.
Nope.
So Aaron, can you tell me your standard form then?
2 bracket x plus 2 and bracket square subtract 8.
Yeah, subtract 8 now, okay? So instead of times by 1, you need to times it by 2, okay? And APQ, Colin, what's APQ here?
A is 2, P is -2, and then Q is -8.
Okay, perfect, okay? Does anyone have questions? So D is yours now, okay? D has an extra 4, right? Just like question B. Think about question B. B has a question, has an extra 19, right? D also has an extra 4, okay? So the steps are all the same. Factor A, divide by 2, balance. Okay, so I'll let you try question D. I won't say a word. And when you finish, we'll all check the answer together. So think about what you did with the extra number at the back, okay? Same as question B. Please raise your hand if you finish question D. Okay, Eric, almost done. Yeah, okay, so let's check the first line. Let's have Brendan. Okay, can you tell me what you did for the complete square?
I got -3 in bracket x minus 1 squared plus 3.
Okay, the step one, not the.
Oh, sorry.
Not-
I got -3 bracket x squared minus 2x minus 1 squared plus 1 squared times -3.
Times -3. Oh, so there should be a bracket.
Yeah.
Anyone got different?
I did -1 squared times -3.
Hold on.
I got
-1 squared times -3. Is that what you said? Yeah. Anyone else? You're sure?
-3 bracket x2 plus 2 squared plus 1 squared
Plus
bracket plus 4 plus 3 times 1 squared.
so plus 4 plus 3 times 1
Yeah.
squared. Can you say that one more time? After the bracket, can you let me erase, okay? What did you say?
Plus 4 plus 3 times bracket 1 squared.
1 squared, okay. Yeah, this is getting more confusing now, right? Okay, getting more different. Any other different answers?
I got y equals to -3 bracket x squared, take away 2x plus 1 squared, take away 1 squared, brackets -3 plus 4.
Okay. Anyone else? Sarah, how about you?
Y equals -3 bracket x squared minus 2x minus 1 squared bracket plus 1 squared times -3 plus 4.
Plus 1 squared? Did you say plus 1 squared?
Yeah.
Okay, and then plus 4, right? Okay, so now, right, by asking you guys question, right, I can see where the problem is. Okay, so that's good that you guys give the input here. So our first step is factor A, right? And remember, because there's a plus 4, and I told you guys, say question B, right? We need to pretend it's not there. Get something to cover it up. So let's say we cover up the 4. So the A, everybody got it right? We factor the A out. Okay, let me write it on the top. Okay, hold on. Oops. Okay, give me 1 sec. Okay, I'm gonna shrink this part. Okay, make it smaller. Okay, let's pull it on the side. Okay, and I'll show you which one is the correct one. Okay, so we need to factor the -3. Okay, factor is all good. When we factor, okay, think about what we did here. When we took out the 2, that means we need to divide by 2, right? Because if you want to multiply back in, the 2 need to go into both of them, right? You need to make sure you get the same thing back. That's the opposite of factor, right? Factor and expand is opposite. So same thing here. If I want to take out -3, that means I need to divide by -3. Okay, so Aaron, if you divide by -3, each of the terms divide by -3, what do you get?
x squared plus 2x.
Yeah, okay. So the correct one should be plus 2x, okay? So even though you see a -6, it doesn't mean it will be minus in the middle, right? You need to divide by the negative on the outside, okay? So that makes it change sign. And that changes everything else too, right? The sign. So when I do the divide by 2, you take the middle one. I think everybody got the number right. It's just the sign is opposite, right? It's a 2 here. So you plus a 1 squared, right? Divide by 2. So always add something, okay? The third one is always adding. And then when you do the balance, it's always subtracting, always. So minus the 1 squared that you add in, and then times it by -3, okay? And don't forget the 4 that you covered up at the beginning, right? So plus a 4. Okay, so that will be your first line, okay? So let's see, I think we have a correct answer here. Which one? Mixed, right? Not really 100%, right? I think the closest one, I don't know, maybe this one, right? And then, yeah, this one is pretty close, right? It's just missing the sign, right? This sign, okay? Yeah. So after this, right, then you write out the form, okay? So -3a plus b, okay? And then simplify everything at the back, okay? Can you raise your hand again if you get the number outside the brackets? Plus something, okay? Raise your hand if you got the number. Okay, Eric, what do you have?
Plus 7.
Plus 7, very good. Okay, so Colin, what's the APQ then?
A is -3, P is -1, and C is 7.
Q is 7. Yeah. Okay, so that's for the left side, okay? Now, if you get the left side, then right side should be a breeze, right? Because the only difference is we are using different formula, okay? So take a look at the two formula, or we look at the previous page, okay? The general form. Question D and E, right? Remember I told you the two different formula? If you have, let me highlight it, okay? If you have a plus, right? In the red box, right? If you have a plus, then when you put into brackets, you have a plus, right? So the first sign controls the sign in the middle, okay? If you have a subtract, then in the bracket, you will get a subtract, okay? So the only difference is this one, okay? So that's what the right side is about. Right side, they all have a subtraction. So in the bracket, you will have a subtraction, okay? So let's go over the first one together. So factor A is 1, right? So nothing changes. So you can see that it's a subtraction now, right? So this subtract, right? This subtract there is talking about this subtract, which will affect your final bracket, okay? So if you see a subtract in the bracket, right? But then the third term, the next term, when you do the divide by 2 is always adding, okay? Remember that, always add. So add 5 divided by 2. Don't use -5, okay? Just use the 5. 5 divided by 2. So you put 5 over 2, square, right? Divide by 2 and then square. Close bracket, balance. So minus whatever you added on, and then times it by 1. Okay? Can you raise your hand if you understand up to here?
Could you go over like the last part again?
Okay, the balance part.
Is it still the same?
Yeah, it's still the same. You take balance minus, always minus the green part and multiply by the number you factored out.
Okay.
Okay? Okay. Raise your hand if you don't have questions here. Okay, perfect. So after that is just simplifying, putting to the form, okay? Now because the yellow part, right, the yellow highlighted is subtract, right? So you need to use subtract. So A is X, subtract B is the green, okay? So A minus B instead of A plus B, square, and then we need to simplify this part. So 5 square over 2 square, right? Square means times itself. So that will give you minus 25 over 4. Okay? So your final answer, right, will be this one. That's your standard form. A will be 1, P will be 5 over 2, right? Because this time is minus, right? So P is what the opposite, right? You see a middle number is a negative, you need to flip it. Q is whatever outside. Okay, so that's the only difference between the left side and the right side is the sign in the middle. Okay, you need to change. Okay, make sure you highlight the sign. Okay, because in the bracket is minus, so your standard form has a minus, and the green part is always plus. Okay, for the first line, and when you balance, is always subtract. Okay. So last 3 questions, you need to do it by yourself, and then we'll go over those 3, then we're done for today, okay? So you just follow the notes that you have so far, should be enough. And you can raise your hand when you finish all 3. If the question has decimals, okay, like question C has decimal, and then you leave your answer in decimals. Okay, like question D has fractions, then all your answers are like all the number, please leave them in fractions as well. Okay. Make sure you understand every question we did today, okay? Because this is gonna affect your next week, the graphing part, right? You need to have the correct APQ, then your graph will be at the right places. Okay, anyone has questions so far? Anyone got stuck? Okay, by now you should probably be done by question B, right? Question B should be finished. Okay, I want to go over question B first, okay? So Eric, can you tell us your first line for question B?
Y equals 1 times bracket x squared minus 3x plus bracket 3 over 2 bracket squared and another bracket minus 3 over 2 squared in a bracket
Mm-hmm.
and then times 1.
Mm-hmm. Anything else?
Minus 2.
Yes, very good, okay? Because this one has the 3 terms, you need to put a minus 2 at the back. Okay. And Aaron, can you tell me what's after this then for question B?
Y equals 1 bracket x subtract 3 over 2 and bracket square subtract 17 over 4.
That's 17 over 4. Okay, let me see. So that will be 9 over 4, right? 3 squared, 2 squared, 9 over 4. Subtract by 2. So you need to get common denominator, right? So that, yep, 17 over 4. Okay, 9 over 4 minus 8 over 4. Okay, anyone has questions about B, you can ask me now. Okay, and APQ. Okay, Yoshir, what's your APQ for this one?
1, 3 over 2 and negative 17 over 4.
Okay, very good. Okay, you guys keep on going. Okay, question B looks good. Okay, and raise your hand if you finish both C and D. Question C, leave your answer in decimals. Question D, leave your answer in fractions.
Jason, can you help me on C?
Sure, can you tell me what you have so far?
I have like y equals to negative 0.4 bracket x squared.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay, so you took out the negative 0.4, that's good, right? When you take out the negative 0.4 means you need to divide by that, okay? Whatever you take out, you divide by that. So now you need to take 1.2 divided by negative 0.4.
Isn't that like negative 3?
Yes, okay, so that will give you minus what?
Not minus 3?
Minus 3x.
Okay.
Make sense so far?
Yeah.
Because if you multiply back in, right, if you do the expand, then you get the same thing back. Okay? Okay, so
Okay.
now we need to do step 2. What is step 2 now?
Divide by 2.
Okay, so what do I need to add?
Like plus 3 squared.
No, not yet. You need to
Negative-
divide by 2. 3, you need to divide by 2.
Oh, plus 3 over 2.
This one has decimals, so we leave it in decimals. So what do we divide by 2?
I don't know what that is.
I'll wait for you. Take your time. Okay, find out what that is.
1.5.
Yeah, so 1.5 and then what?
I don't know what you do after that.
You need to put a square.
Oh, you just put, oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
The balance, right? Okay, that's divide by 2. And then next step is balance. How do I balance now?
You take away 1.5 squared.
What else?
And then you bring the negative 0.4.
Yeah, you need to multiply by negative 0.4.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, do you know what to do next after this?
Yes. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, please raise your hand if you finish C and D. And if you have any questions, okay, ask me anytime. Okay, or any question from other questions too, okay? Doesn't matter. Okay, let's check the standard form then. Okay, Sarah, for C, what's your standard form then?
Y equals negative 0.4 bracket x minus 1.5 bracket squared plus 0.9.
Plus 0.9.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. How about Eric? Do you have 0.5 as well?
I have. Wait, for D or C?
C, yeah. Is it 0.9 or do you have something different?
I think I had a mistake, so I'm just correcting it right now. So
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, let me know what you get, okay? I'll wait for you. I don't know if it's 0.9. I'm just asking your answers.
I got 9/5.
9/5. Okay. 9/5, that in decimal should be what? 1 point what?
8.
8. Okay. So anyone else? You're sure? How about you?
I got 0.9.
0.9. Okay. So Eric, how did you get the 9/5? Can you tell us?
I think I did something wrong with my calculation because I squared 3/2 and then I multiplied it by 4/10.
Oh, you use a fraction. Okay, so make sure when you type in, right, have a bracket around your 3/2. Okay, so it squared the whole thing. Okay, otherwise, I don't know, maybe your calculator only squared the 3 or squared the 2. So make sure you use brackets, okay, and then times it by, right? Make sure you also have a sign, right? Minus, and then 4/10, okay? Put them all in brackets. Okay, let me know if you cannot get the 0.9, okay?
Yeah, I got the 0.9.
Yeah, good. Okay, very good. Okay, so our APQ, this one is negative 0.4, P is 1.5, Q is 0.9. Okay, last one. Okay, if you finish, please raise your hand. Question D. A we need to take out is 2/5. Okay, so it's a fraction, so you need to know how to divide with fractions. Okay, keep going. Let me know when you finished. Leave your answer in fractions. Okay, Aaron, can you tell me what's inside the brackets, like for the first line?
After what you did was negative 5x
Okay.
plus 5 over 2 squared.
Mm-hmm. And then?
Subtract 5 over 2 squared.
Mm-hmm.
And then you multiply that by 2 over 5.
Yeah.
And then plus 3.
Plus 3. Very good. Okay, Colin and Nathan, almost done?
Yeah, almost done.
Okay, raise your hand when you finished. Okay, Colin, what do you have for the standard form?
Y equals 2 over 5
Yep.
bracket x minus 5 over 2
Mm-hmm.
or plus, or is it minus?
Yeah, minus. If
And
you see a
squared.
minus up there, it will be
Mm-hmm.
minus. Yep.
Okay, squared
Yep.
plus 1 over 2.
Plus, which one? What number?
1 over 2.
1 over 2. Okay, last number I need to double check. Okay, Nathan, do you have 1 over 2 as well? Nathan?
Yeah, I have 1 over 2 as well.
1 over 2. Sarah, how about you?
Yeah.
Yeah, same thing. You sure?
Same.
Eric?
I have 1/2 as well.
1 over 2. Okay, okay. So let's write down the APQ. Okay, so A will be 2 over 5, 5 over 2, 1 over 2. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so this week you just practice changing from general form to standard form. And then some question will have something that's not general form. So if you see something that's not general form, make sure you turn into general form first and then go from general to standard. Okay, and then the homework will be posted later today. And then you need to take picture of both your notes and the homework and upload to the same place. If you have question about how to upload, you can email me, okay, or leave message on the Google Classroom, okay? Yeah, so that's all for today, yeah?
Yeah, I just wanted to know if anyone in the grade